My name is Pat Quinn, the father of Ben Quinn,
Yeah.
and we're from Ongar in Dublin 15.
And obviously this is the first day for both the parents and also for the players themselves. How did you find this first induction day?
Very informative. I thought Jason was really informative with all the information, and open transparency is probably the word I would use. Everything is transparent. They want the parents to interact with the whole system. They want them to come and watch the training and show them the parents and the family what they want everyone to buy into from a diet perspective, training, trials, try and have the whole family dynamics and the training and the FAI camp all together. Yeah.
So obviously you're at ease now. Were there any kind of nerves? Because obviously your son's probably potentially, I don't know, but maybe going to be nervous possibly coming down for the first time, because that's natural. But how about yourself as a parent?
Yeah, no, I've been in and around the environment with my brothers. They're senior international, so I've been in and around the environment regularly with my brothers, fortunately. But yeah, no, I have to say it was apprehensive probably coming into it, but very comfortable and very relaxed once Jason started speaking and explaining to the group of parents and the children, or the boys I should say, of what the direction is and what the directions of the FAI is going forward, starting from here. Well, it would have started way back when they were 9 in an emergent talent programme for the DDSL Kennedy Cup team. Yeah.
The Emerging Talent Programme now, it's been around for a few years, and I remember looking into it even when I was back in college as a young journo and there. And how did you find that experience? Obviously, because they do headhunt and then they bring them into the different centres around the country, and obviously yours would be in Dublin.
Yeah, I find that it's working. It really is working, and although there has to be a system of alleviating some boys that aren't good enough, and kids that develop at different stages and different, just like the international, they're developing at different ages and so yeah, I think the emergent talent it is a program that is really working, and you can start to see the green shoots from it. Back as far as 9 years of age to now, when the boys are 14, you can see the green shoots from that emergent talent program coming through to today, and probably hopefully next year from my son's perspective, and going forward for the other boys that are in the group. Yeah.
Two of the interesting things maybe that Dan Horn, the head of fitness, was talking about: nutrition, education, actually, which I was actually, maybe it would be surprising that he's talking about it, but he actually made some really, really good points as well, because the physical has to be obviously complemented by the mental side and what you learn off the pitch as well, even if it has nothing to do with football. I presume that's encouraging for you as a parent as well, that the two things are being married together.
Yeah, well, it's important that we all buy into the thesis, if you like, of what the FAI, the DDSL, or the other leagues around the country are trying to do. It really is important that everyone buys into it, and we're all understanding from a diet perspective, because it doesn't just start today, or it didn't start last week. This started from the boys when they were 3, 4, 5 years of age, introducing the correct foods and diets to them, and sleep pattern, and social media, and everything that goes with it. It just didn't start today or yesterday, us as parents, we focus on the sleep, the diet, the social media, the phones, the usage of computers, PlayStations, whatever it is. I think it's collective. It's all relevant,
And one of the other things as well, I suppose, the issue of trials came up going to England and that, because that is obviously a natural thing that happens in this country, that players have to go to England usually, or Scotland if it's the case of Celtic, to play against their peers from those countries. And were you one of those parents who put the hands up when that came up? And obviously the apprehension I could sense in the room as well about those experiences. How have your sons found it? And do you think maybe with a lot more players staying on the League of Ireland, would that be a route that you'd be kind of interested in cultivating?
Well, there's a lot in that question, but to answer one at a time. We're fortunate enough. I've got brothers that are senior internationals and still professional footballers, in Stephen and Alan Quinn. Ben has been around the professional environment for many years, as Stephen is his godfather. So he's fortunate in that sense, that he's seen it all from a very young age. So it's not daunting to him. And me as a parent, I've been around with my brothers and would have helped them just as a mentor, if you like, all them years ago, and just being there for them. So it's familiar. We're going over all ground, you know. So it's familiar to us. So he's very fortunate in that sense. As regards to the League of Ireland, yeah, I think it's a good idea. What they initially did from under 17s, under 19s, but for me, I think it's wrong what they've done for under 15s, and now they've even gone lower to under 13s. I think it's really wrong. I just believe that you don't try and fix what's not already broke, and it was never broke. The DDSL was one of the most successful and is one of the most successful leagues in Europe. So it's probably another can of worms that I'm opening, probably a discussion for another day, essentially, you know. But yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting, because I think the point from what the FAI was thinking was actually to try and amalgamate as many of these leagues together, have clubs working together, and then start as early as possible. But obviously, from your point of view, maybe it should have maybe start at 17 and maybe keep what was there before.
Well, they had it at 17s and 19s, and I think it was working. But again, they brought it in and brought it down to the 13s and 15s. It might work, it may work. They may have a platform, but again, I go back to, if it's not broke, don't try and fix it. And I definitely believe that it wasn't broke, and we produced some serious talent throughout the years. When you go, just to name a few, you've got Damien Duff, Robbie Keane, even going back as far as Paul Osama, who's in the room earlier on. Like, he would have played in the league. My own brother Stephen and Alan Quinn. You've got the likes of Willow Flood, Stephen McPhail. All these players came through that DDSL system. So Richie Dunn, like, there's so many of them you could go through. It just, I believe it was working, and we have broke it, or we're trying to break it, to try and refix it or remend it or bring it under a different brand. But hey ho.
I suppose the final point, do you think those players would still come through in the current system?
It's a question. Yeah, I'm sure they will come through, but whether they come through as a better player, how do we monitor, how do we manage it, and how do we see where the balancing is of the two of them? Like, it's not going to be for another 5-7 years you're going to see the results of the 13s, 15s, 17s, 19s FEI, as opposed to, for many years we could see it from under 6, 7s. The DDSL has produced the players. Yeah.
And maybe it's actually one final point, actually, just watching the tactics board being brought out and a few little video sessions, just when the kids were in the room with Jason. The idea of playing out from the back, obviously something we're trying to implement and has been talked about in terms of the senior team over a period of time. It's obviously exciting, maybe even from a parent's point of view, to see that side of the game is being developed, and that's the insistence that we pass out from the back, try and find solutions that way rather than hoofing it.
Yeah, well, I think the tactics board that we're showing there with the boys, it's getting them all into reacting together and all singing from the same hymn sheet, and giving them all responsibility as such off the pitch. It's making them responsible people, responsible men, and bringing them into a responsible environment, so they can do it outside of the pitch and outside of the camp that they're currently in. Yeah, mum and dad holding their hands the whole time, you know, and it's essentially it's responsibility that the FEO and Jason are trying to give them, which I think it's going forward in life outside of football. It's good for the dynamics going forward in life. Yeah.
Well, thanks a million, and best of luck to your son.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Darren Curtis, originally from Dublin, living in Navan.
Yeah.
My son Ben is obviously one of the lucky 18 who's here today, and very exciting for him.
Yeah. When did he start out on this road? Well, just even playing recreationally.
Well, I played soccer obviously from an early age. I'll be up to about 30 until I got a few little injuries, self-inflicted. So since he's 5 or 6, Ben has started playing football, and he's the oldest of 4 boys. As I said, I'm originally from Dublin, moved to Navan, and 2 years ago Ben was playing his football in Navan, and himself and his brother were seen by clubs, and they moved up to Dublin, and he is where he is. He got here now after 2 years of, as I said, hard work, playing for Kevin's, and just learning and developing. And luckily enough, he got the chance and the opportunity. He was brought into the development squad, and he got to the final 18, which is great.
And Kevin's is a rich tradition. Obviously, we're going back to the likes of Liam Brady, even more recently Robbie Brady. So 2 Bradys there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Obviously unrelated, and then Jeff Hendrick as well. So was that kind of an attractive feature, and why, for the reason like you wanted your son to play for them?
No, there wasn't any reason at all. The reason was, I tell you what happened. There was a couple of clubs that were interested in Ben and Sam, and also the two younger brothers are also at St. Kevin's, but we went to 3 or 4 clubs, and I never spoke to them about where they should go, where they shouldn't go. But I said to them, "You make the decision. Whatever club you're happy with, we'll go there and we'll try it." But they chose Kevin's, which was great, because myself, I played for Kevin's when I was younger, but they didn't know. But it was their decision, and I helped them to make the decision, but I didn't say this is where you have to go. And luckily enough, it's worked out. And as I said, from going from where we were in Navan to, down playing for Park Villa, up to Kevin's to here in the space of 2 years is an achievement. And he has his younger brother Sam, who's chomping at the bit to be here this time next year. Please God, this would work out for him. But as I said, happy. Yeah. Great achievement.
It's obviously kind of one of those transition years, I suppose, when you're developing as a young footballer. And just when Dan Horan, who's the head of fitness here, he asked parents to put their hands up who's gone on trial, or which parents have seen their sons go on trial. Were you one of those who put their hands up, and how have you found the experience?
Yeah, I was one. Well, only as I said, it's only been in the last couple of last 6 months that things have been happening for Ben and his younger brother Sam. They've gone on trials, and for me, as I said, I played at a kind of high enough level. I went from Kevin's to Shamrock Rovers, but I was mad. I loved boxing. I came from a boxing background, and I couldn't decide whether I wanted football or boxing, so I kind of done both. But I did put my hand up, and the experience that Ben has had and Sam has had have been good so far. But needless to say, if they do get an opportunity for more, that mightn't be the same as now. But they've only been over a couple of times, but I've spoke to other parents whose children have been over 3 or 4, maybe even 5 times, who've kind of said, well, we didn't like this, or this was great. So that's where we are at the moment, and touch wood, as they say, that a few things will happen for them. And as I go on, I'm learning myself, and I'm learning from my kids. Obviously they're coming back and telling me what they thought, but the experience that both of them have had so far have only been good. And
your first impressions of what you've seen here today, because it was almost a day for the parents as much as the kids.
Yeah, it's like, as I was talking to one of the parents out there, and like, I coach myself, and you're always going to find, as a coach, you're always going to find you want to better yourself. And I've picked up 3 or 4 things there today now that would have helped me when I was coaching, that I never knew about and I wouldn't have thought about. So as he said, we all have to work together, and I think if we all do work together, the future's bright for Irish football. But it is a collective thing, and if we don't work collectively, I don't think it's going to progress the way we want it to. Yeah,
there were kind of 2 points maybe that were very relevant to the parents, the education being one, nutrition being the other. And from what you saw here today, what did you make of that?
Yeah, education, definitely. Ben is, like as I said before, Ben has been away. He's gone away again now. He has to take time out of school, and my wife, more so than me, I'd be, let him get the football, but my wife would be very, very for the education. And I've spoke to Ben's school about it. So what they're going to do is they're actually going to give me stuff for him to bring, and for him to do. Like, if he's sitting in a hotel room for 3 or 4 hours, what can he do? Well, he can do this work and present it back to school, which I think is very good. And it is a valid point about the education, and also I myself, for the nutrition. I see kids when I played football, when I coached Ben and Sam. Look, I was lucky for them to play in my team, but I would get up in the morning, get their food, get everything right, and I'd know straight away after 10 minutes watching the game what child didn't have a breakfast, and what child he was crying because he wasn't able to run after the ball. Reason being, a lot to do with the way he's got prepared for the match. But it's up to us. It's like the old saying, you hear there's an expression. You look at like, if I'm standing there doing something, and I'm showing my son, he's going to do it, but if I don't show him, he's not going to do it. And he made a very valid point about kids give them independence as regards, if you're cooking, get them to stand beside you, show them. And he was right. He said I'd be surprised if 4 lads could cook an omelette. Like, I don't even think 4 lads could crack an egg, never mind cook an omelette. So it is very, very important, and it's highlighted to me. Like, I've often been there making food, and Ben and Sam be sitting. So from now on, I'm going to say, come over here. So, which I thought was very, very a valid point. And not only from, if I say to Ben, he's going to say, yeah, whatever, but now that it's come from the coaches, it'll make my life easier for him to listen and learn from me.
I was interested on the workload side as well, because I guess most players don't want to miss sessions, don't want to miss matches, so there might be a kind of a temptation maybe to play down whatever injury concerns. But what was spoken about here was the constant communication, parents to player to coaches. And was that something maybe that you found a little bit eye-opening, and maybe in comparison to your own playing days?
It is eye-opening and he hit the nail on the head when he said it's very eye-opening for a lot of parents here who wouldn't be football orientated as regards they never played football, which is not they might have done something else. But from my point of view, I was always very clear in what I've said. Like as the two lads moving up a level up to playing for St. Kevin's, I would say to their coach, I'd say, like, he's struggling. He mightn't tell you he's struggling because he wants to play, but he's struggling, and I'd know straight away. But it's very, very important for the communication. As I said to you before I spoke there, I said you have the player in the middle, the parent and the coach. It's bypassed all the time. It goes from player to coach, from player to parent. There's no 1, 2, 3, and I think that is very, very important going forward. And as I said, if we can get this right, communication and work together, the future's bright.
Yeah. I suppose on a final point, actually, more the tactical side. I was just sitting in on the tactics board being put out and everything, and we've always talked in this country about the maybe not playing out from the back as much. Yeah. And from watching that, it seems to be that is the mantra, and you must be excited by that. Maybe just the development of your sons. So what positions do they play actually?
Well, Ben plays in midfield, which is perfect for it, and Sam would play at the back, centre half or midfield, which I might come to you now in 5 years' time saying Ben is a centre forward, Sam is a striker. I don't know, but I honestly think Jason made a valid point about like putting them under pressure with the ball in training, in a training situation, let them make the mistake. And as he said, if they keep making the mistake, then there's something wrong. But if they make the mistake twice and then the third time, they're comfortable, they're confident, and for me, that's the key. Doesn't matter about the result, and get them comfortable on the ball and playing with the ball all the time. I hate to see the ball in the air. If I had my way, they'd be kicking a heavy ball around all the time because they have to play. And as he said, putting them in the environment where they're under pressure and letting them make the decision, let them make the mistake. Because if you don't make a mistake, you'll never learn. Which is,
So thanks a million for chatting to me, and best of luck to your sons.
Yeah, thank you.